Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm driving the 2017 Mazda 3 Hatchback Grand Touring. Shout out to my friend Ryan for letting me take his car out and do this review for you guys. I'm very excited to be driving this car because I've heard Gen 3 Mazda 3s are really fun to drive, and I'm curious to see how it compares to my Gen 4 sedan that I own myself. And I'm gonna leave chapters down below for you to skip around if you want. I'm in my hometown, San Francisco, so today we'll be driving through some locations in San Francisco. Right off the bat, I feel that this car is very nimble. Definitely lighter and easier to move around than my Gen 4. Right now we're heading to the Presidio to get that windy mountain road in order to see how this car handles around the corners. And this is when I realized I lost audio during this wonderful clip in the windy Presidio. But because I love Mazdas and I am reviewing a Mazda, it's the perfect time to talk about Mazda's human-centered design and driving philosophy, Jinba Ittai. So Jinba Ittai means the horse and the rider as one. And Mazda has always been trying to create that very direct connection between the driver and their cars, and that very natural driving experience. And so back in 2017, Mazda developed the G-Vectoring Control Technology, or GVC, a once new technology that exemplifies that Mazda Jinba Ittai experience by realizing smooth, predictable, and efficient movement. And this isn't just marketing. When I was driving this car and my personal Gen 4 Mazda 3, the way the car responds in terms of braking, accelerating, steering are all very predictable, linear, and smooth. My inputs to the car exactly translates to how the car moves on the road. In short, everything moves exactly how you want it to. Now, I want to go back to GVC and show you how Mazda explains it for you mechanical or physics people out there. So Mazda claims that up until 2016, lateral and longitudinal acceleration G-forces have been controlled separately. GVC adjusts engine torque in response to steering wheel action, delivering unified control over both of these forces and optimizing the vertical load on each wheel. Specifically, GVC controls engine drive torque to generate deceleration G the moment the driver starts to turn the steering wheel, shifting load to the front wheels. This increases front tire grip, enhancing the vehicle's responsiveness. And when I was driving through these corners in the Presidio, I indeed felt very confident and in control. When the driver maintains a constant steering angle, GVC immediately recovers engine drive torque, transfers load to the rear wheels to enhance the vehicle's stability. I really think all of this contribute to that natural driving experience. I noticed throughout this video I use the word natural many times because it's true, and I can't think of a better word to describe how this car feels. Honestly, it just feels like I'm driving a slightly bigger Miata because it just drives so well. And the steering wheel itself has a medium, maybe even medium light steering feel. My Gen 4 is very heavy. I've never driven another car that's as heavy as my Gen 4. And I've also driven a automatic ND1 Miata before. And this 2017 Mazda 3 steering wheel feels a lot like the ND1. I know exactly how much of the steering wheel to turn. I like how thin the steering wheel is. It makes it feel like it's very manageable, especially for my small hands. And the braking feel is just so seamless and effortless, so natural. The brake pedal itself is on the firm side, but it really makes me feel like I'm pushing on something. It's not so artificial and assisted like a lot of the modern cars nowadays. Because I'm going downhill a lot right now, I'm able to test how the brake feels. It brakes pretty linearly. There's no weird delays or lags or anything like that. It brakes just how you want it. And this car accelerates in a really zippy and peppy way. Actually feels really fun. It takes a second to have that power come through, but once it comes through, it's very nice. It's not 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or anything like that, but it feels a lot like the ND1. This car is not necessarily really fast, but it just handles so well. It's so responsive. It's just so fun to drive. full throttle to go uphill, and I don't feel like this car is struggling at all. It's more than adequate for city driving and just getting on the highway. Even some passing on the freeway, you're gonna be completely fine. And road noise wise, it's actually not bad at all. It's better than I expected. This car does a really good job at blocking the outside noise out. I like how all the knobs and buttons, like the climate control, heated seats, the infotainment controls with the knobs, they're all so within reach. You don't have to move your body at all, it's all within reach with your hand. That way my eyes are on the road more and it's just more safe. I really love how the seats feel. They hug my body so well. I feel supported and it's soft. It's almost really perfect. One of the qualms for me for the last gen Civic is the seat. The seat in the Civic doesn't support my lower back, so I constantly feel like I am sunken into the seat, but in a bad way. Not such a problem here at all. And San Francisco's got some shitty roads. This car is handling those bumps and potholes or whatnot just fine. Visibility in the C-pillar is great. It's unlike the thick C-pillar in the Gen 4 hatchback, which is nice. However, the rear glass is a little small, but I can still manage. The A-pillar is also not bad. It's pushed enough forward such that I don't have to, crouch around or move forward to see. Not only is the A-pillar pushed forward, it's also pretty thin. Now let's talk about the interior. Starting off with the ND Miata-like steering wheel. To the left, you have your volume buttons, voice command, skip track previous track, an info button that lets you change some information on the gauge cluster, as well as the phone buttons at the bottom. To the right, you have your cruise control buttons. You also have some paddle shifters, which is always really nice. Here you have your standard knobs for your turn signals and such, and they make this very notchy noise and feel really satisfying to pull down. In front is the gauge cluster. I like how Mazda put the tachometer and speedometer together in the middle. To the left, you can see what gear you're in and your total mileage, or your trip A and trip B mileage. To the right, if you press that info button, you can see your average fuel economy, current drive fuel economy, and your range. You also have the outside temperature up top and the fuel gauge at the bottom. I like how it gives you tiny little squares when you're close to empty. That way you know specifically how much gas you have left. In front of the gauge cluster is the heads-up display. It shows you the speedometer and the speed limit. To the left of the steering column, you have your traction control off button and the TPMS reset button. Moving on to the door panel. This car has this cool parchment leather interior, so it has a mix of colors on the door panel. I like the mixture of textures and materials, like the stitching, the aluminum trim, and soft touch materials. This car does have the Bose sound system. With my short experience with it, I think the bass is good, the treble is okay, and the mids can be better. Let's talk about the seats. You have 6-way power driver's seat with manual lumbar support. However, the passenger seat is all manual adjustments. The seats themselves, like I said in the driving portion, they're very comfy, soft, supportive all the way from my lower back to my head, and I really love the red stitching. Alright, I'm sitting behind my friend's driving position. He is 6'1" and I'm 5'2", so I only have about like an inch and a half of legroom left. Backseat space definitely not great. However, the backseat is very supportive. I feel very comfortable, except it's more reclined than I like. Well, it's like I'm really lounging. So if you like that lazy boy position when you're sitting in the back, then that is great. This is how it looks like with this friend sitting in the back. How much knee room you got? 2 inches? Yeah, 2 inches. Headroom, what you got? Oh, your hair is touching.
Not much. Never much.
But you fit.
If I slouch.
He's slouching, I guess. Lean back. Are you touching the roof?
My hair is.
His hair is touching the roof.
If I sit up, then yeah.
Yeah, he can't sit up, unfortunately. But he... Let's talk infotainment. It's a straightforward system with different menus you can select. The UI is pretty snappy. It does not have stock Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but you can take your Mazda to the dealer and have them install it as long as your car is 2014 or newer and have the Mazda Connect infotainment system. It is a touchscreen only when you're fully stopped. Otherwise, you have to use the control knob down in the center console area, and it sounds very nice. Next to the control knob, you do have some shortcut buttons as well as the volume knob, which you can mute the sound if you press down on it. However, you cannot toggle it left and right to skip or go back a track, unlike in my Gen 4. Back onto that screen, some people prefer having a full touchscreen, but I have practically the same setup in my Gen 4, and I actually prefer having the control knob. I find myself spending less time staring at the screen and more time on the road, and I feel less distracted. Just like my Gen 4, selecting a radio station is kinda annoying. You can scan stations or use the previous or next buttons on the right, or you can tune to the specific radio frequency. An easy way to get around this is to add your favorite radio stations as favorites. To do that, you just get to the specific station you want and long hold the star button by the center control knob. After that, you can access your favorite channels in the star favorites list. I also want to quickly mention that you have the Mazda navigation system in the optional premium equipment package. You have an OK resolution backup camera, and interestingly, you can adjust how it looks. Moving on to the climate control and the center console area. Because this is the Grand Touring, you have heated seats and the optional heated steering wheel. You have old-fashioned knobs and buttons all laid out, super simple to use, and you do have dual zone automatic controls. Down below, you have the SD card slot for the navigation, 2 USB-C ports, an aux cord, and a little cubby. Behind, you have a traditional, good-looking notchy shift knob, and you do have sport mode on or off, and behind that you have a very good sounding parking brake. And unfortunately in this area you have a lot of piano black. A lot of us on Mazda Reddit had posted vinyl wrapping solutions. Behind we have cup holders, and sadly it does not fit my 32-ounce water bottle. You can also close this area up if you want. Because the center console is so far back, you cannot use it as an armrest, and it's very tiny. You do have a cigarette port though. Up top you have a sunglass holder, which is really nice. You also have an optional one-touch power moonroof, but it's so tiny, it's kinda just for show in my opinion. Let's talk about the exterior. If the Gen 2 is the smiley, happy kid, the Gen 4 is the aggressive-looking yet mature adult, then the Gen 3 is the coming-of-age, sort of aggressive late teen/young adult. You have a mid-sized grille and very downturned eyes, very good-looking front LED lights. Mazda always makes their lights look like wings with a ring. I think it's cool and unique. You also have fog lights and turn signals at the bottom. Coming up to the longish hood, there's a body line that runs across, adding to the sleek aggressiveness. You have heated mirrors and integrated turn signals, 10-spoke 18-inch alloys. Here is a side view for you. I noticed these two converging body lines, which is pretty cool. Here's another view of the side and kind of the back. You do have advanced keyless system that works really fast and well. Before moving on to the back, I do want to appreciate this very flowy and beautiful Eternal Mica paint. Moving on to the rear end. The back hatch looks decent enough. It actually looks just like the CX-5, just shrunken. Just like the front, you have the same cool wing with a ring taillight that I think looks really cool, dual exhaust, and a shark fin. Let's open up that hatch. With the rear seats down, you have 47.1 cubic feet. Otherwise, you have 20.2 cubic feet. And here's my storage cube for reference. It actually looks very small in person. On the side, you have this little storage cubby for the jacks, which is pretty neat. Let us close the hatch and take a look at what's under the hood. We have a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder Skyactiv G engine that outputs 184 horsepower and 185 pound-feet of torque, paired with a good old 6-speed automatic transmission. And with that, let's head into the final thoughts. So yeah, if you're looking for a small car that drives really well, also has that really nice interior, somewhat luxurious compared to the other competitors, and you don't mind the lack of passenger space, then I think this is a great choice. So yeah, thank you for tuning into this video. Look forward to more car reviews and car detailing videos coming up actually. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.